Okay, so if you own a Bachmann ON30 Gas Mechanical, we're going to put a decoder in this with sound, but it starts with disassembly. To disassemble it, you have to first remove the couplers and their housings with these two screws. One here, one here. Just unscrew it, pull it out, put it aside. All right, now pull this off. But before we do, make sure you loosen these out of their little out of the floor here. Just wiggle them ever so slightly in case they're glued in, because sometimes Bachmann glues it in. So now they're off, and then we can lift. Now there's a section here that pulls tight and snug to the chassis underneath. First thing we want to do, get the back side out here, like so. And then the front, pull it up like so. Also, be very conscious that there is a wire running from this light to the PCB board underneath. But we're going to keep wiggling here. Let's try to pry this a little bit, just without scratching anything, hopefully. There we go. And there you have it. Now under here there are two plugs that plug to this LED up in here. Okay, the next step would be to try to remove those plugs like so with the tweezers. Let me zoom in and I'll show you how I do this one. Right here. Wiggle it just a little and take it right off. All right, now we can put this aside. Next is our 8-pin decoder here that plugs in here, and on our lighting with our resistors. Now you can very simply purchase yourself an 8-pin decoder by pulling this 8-pin decoder out gently. I usually go side by side like this and wiggle it right out. Just like so. You can simply buy a replacement decoder with 8 pins, plug it in, and you're ready to go. But since I have a different decoder laying around, I'm going to show you how to hardwire this. So the next thing we're going to do is take a look at, before removing this PCB board, we want to take a look at what these wirings are doing and where these wires are going to. Okay, so the clips themselves are controlling the motor here and here. Okay, there are no wires running to our motor. These two wires appear to be going down to make track contact with these wheels underneath. And lastly, our two lighting wires are right here. So if we're going to hardwire this, we just want to remove these two clips here, like so. And then you can pull these right out of the hole by just wiggling them around a little bit like that. All right. So now we need to get the board off. I'm going to flip one side up first, pushing the clips in, popping that right off. And there is your PCB board. Okay, we're going to put this aside. Now we have an area to work with and install our decoder. by using these two wires here. That'll help us get our track power, and we will make connections here for wiring and here by adding solder to both sides. Now, we need to remove these little transformer resistor things. We won't need those for what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to get my soldering iron out, and we'll desolder this connection here, and we'll desolder this connection here, and we'll desolder this connection here. I don't feel the need to pull the motor out, so we're just going to clip the rest of this right here. Okay, so let me heat up the gun and we'll be back. Okay, when you're all done removing those resistors, it should look like this. Nice and clean. All right, next, we're going to add solder to this point and to this point. Okay, we're going to put a little bit of flux right here. And a little bit of flux right here. Just a very little. Then we're going to get our solder. Get a little bit of solder on here. And just hit that spot ever so gently. I think I need to apply just a little more. Like that. And then let's come to the other side very carefully. And we're going to do it like this. Okay. Good to go. There and there. For this project, I'll be hardwiring a Locksound 58823. Looks like this. So for this project, I'm going to be getting a piece of double stick tape, putting it right here, and putting our decoder right here, like so. We don't want to have the wires going in this direction because we will definitely run out of room, because that area is where this back wall comes in right here. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, doesn't matter, 70, 90, whatever percent you want. We're just going to rub it right on here. We're going to clean this surface for our double stick tape. Okay, so I've applied our double stick tape right here. Let's peel off the back side, like so. That. And then we'll put this piece right up on top of that, like so. There we go. We've got a very nice resting spot for our decoder. So the next thing we want to do is join the red and the black wires together, but we'll try to get ourselves a good distance here to be able to do this, so we can tuck these in. This looks like a pretty good spot, so we'll trim them, all of the wires right about here. We want to leave a little bit extra. And let's snip these wires. Okay. Take a little bit of the insulation off. Same with the two that came with the Locomotive. All right. Apply some flux to the ends of each of these wires. Spin them a little bit so we don't have any loose strands. Like so. All right. right. Kind of like that. Those connections are good. Then we'll do the same with this black one here. All right, so we've got nice connections there for our track power. Next, we're going to go to our motor power. So here you can see I've cut just enough for the orange wire to reach, just enough for the gray wire to reach, with a little bit extra. Let's trim back some of the insulation on these two wires, as such, and the orange, same way. All right. Let's get some flux on those two. Make sure we have plenty on there. Same here. Okay. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Okay. Okay, so we have our motor power all hooked up here. And our track power. Okay, so the speaker we're using for this project is a ESU 50321. It's like a mini cube speaker. Looks just like that. Comes with a series of different types of baffles on it. Well, we're going to put our speaker right here in this section. So if we measure that out, we pretty much only have room for, I'm thinking this one. Let's see. So you have to measure out your distances. Yeah, this one, and then there's another piece that we'll put for the bottom. So these are the other two pieces I will be using for the baffle for this speaker, only because, as I said, we only have about, from here to here, we have a small distance here, okay? So the best way to go about doing this is you just add a little bit of glue to these surfaces here, okay? Hit these little nibs, and then you hit that surface, right? And that's going to help us glue these two pieces together like that, okay? And then this is a sticky thing we'll peel off and put it together, and our end piece should look like this, okay? Just be careful you don't touch anything on that speaker underneath there. You don't want to puncture anything in there. You also don't want to get any glue on it. So just small amounts of glue to connect these two pieces together, okay? Now, I always keep a spare piece of styrene that I can put just a little blob of glue on it, like so, okay? I'm gonna hold this like this with my tweezers, okay? And then I just take a toothpick, and I just get a little bit of glue on the toothpick, and I start dabbing away here. We're just creating a little seal here for this baffle. Top piece. Just gonna lay it right on top. Squeeze it together like so, okay? And I just, whether you want to use your fingers or not, that's fine. Damp cloth, whatever, I wipe away the excess glue and I let that dry, okay? Then let's take our little speaker very carefully, right? And we want to line it up, okay, as best we can. And then squeeze it all together like so. Okay, and be careful. Don't press too hard. You don't want to ruin these tabs here. These two tabs are where we're going to connect our brown wires from our decoder. So I have a good connection. Hopefully you will too. All right, this speaker is ready. So we're gonna, like I say, we're gonna put this speaker like right in here, like so. Okay, those two spots there where we're going to connect our wires, which we're gonna do in a minute. I'm gonna have those sticking out just a little bit like that. That way we'll clear everything else we need to clear here with the shell. And the wires won't get crimped around the front end of the body shell. All right. See those? Right here. And right here. We're going to put a little flux and we're going to put solder on them. And when you put solder on these things, remember, okay, remember that you just want to touch it very quickly with your solder. Anything too hot is going to loosen this clip. And I've had that done before. It's not that you can't still use it, but it gets a lot more difficult to maneuver. So the other thing to do, because this is almost magnetic, if you take a soldering iron to this without putting anything below it, it snaps to your soldering iron. That's not a good thing either. Put a little flux on here like this and this. I'm just going to go like this and like this, that, just to get enough on there, okay? Yeah, let's make it so we can do them like this. That would be more clean, I think. So let's cut them both right about here. Okay. And let's do even less than we were doing on some of the others, because all we need is enough electrical contact like that to connect the speaker. Just gotta make sure we get a good connection in there. There we go. There we go. All right. And we'll be ready to go. Okay, let's connect these. So let's make sure soldering iron's got some heat, and we just tap. Oops. Yeah, see how that started to lift? So we need better support to hold this guy down at the moment. Next thing I want to do is get another piece of double stick tape and get our speaker right there. Like so. All right. Okay, let's get this right in here, like so. And we'll also peel back the excess here. Like that. Okay, and then we're gonna stick this guy. Let's get all the other wires out of the way. We're gonna stick them in. And I wanted them to kind of be over this a little bit more. Let me see if I can't. There we go. Kind of center it a little better. All right. There you go. Speakers in place. And we are ready to go. It's almost like we've got that sound chamber right in the front. Right in the, general area the motor would be. We're going to put this on the test track and see if we're in the right, if everything's working correctly, to make sure none of your wires are touching any metal or anything of that nature, and you should be good. Okay, so everything functioned great. We had good sound with the generic decoder, and track power and motor power. Everything working great so far. So what we're going to do is go in and we're going to put some shrink tubing on these two, okay? All right, so we just slip these over here. I think these should be fan enough for this. Wonderful, yeah. I didn't want to use too big of shrink tubing for this, so and we'll just slide them over the top like so. So we're gonna just take the end of our, not the tip, not the super tip here, but we're gonna take this end here and just kind of run it back and forth, let that shrink tubing grab, and just like that. You see that? Let's do the same to this one. Let's come over the top on this one here too, this way. Let's check those won't move on us. It's good. Good. All right, and these will eventually, like I say, they're going to tuck back along the side here because we have room for all these wires to tuck down to the sides here, just like that. You see that? The two we need to be concerned with today are a front headlight, and that's the blue and the white, okay? So what I'm going to do here is just trim enough of this wire so that we can tuck it away and use this maybe possibly down the road. So for now, I'm going to cut those, okay, right about here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a little bit of tape, and I am going to tuck all these wires into a good little spot here for us. Not a lot of tape, but just enough to cover them and get them all packed in nicely and organized. All right, so let's start from the top and get these guys down like so. And then let's go this side where we have our track power and gray wire, and we'll tuck those up like that into the side, just like that. And then we've got our speaker wires and our orange wires right up in here. They kind of grabbed a little bit already to the tape, but I don't want them to grab yet. I want to get them up here like so and tucked under. Okay, and then we'll pull that tape down like that. And I would say we're good. Okay. Okay, so I've turned off the light to show you the orange type of light that Bachmann uses for their LEDs. I'm going to switch this out with a nice warm white LED, okay? So let me take you through that. Okay, so as you can see inside here, the LED rods are coming down through these two holes. And they come up back over here, right here and here. They come in from the back side. The best way I know how to do that is to get my little wire guys here, right? And I'm going to nip this here and cut that one, and it just fell right out. I don't know if you can see that, but it literally fell right out. It's right here. All right, then we'll do the second one very carefully without scratching any paint, and it fell right out, okay? This is the way I've done it without removing this whole housing. I have done one of these before. Okay, so we're back. All right, so now we've got these clipped off, right? And these are wire. So what I want to do is firmly hold the housing, okay, like so with my finger. I don't want that to detach, but I want to bend the wires of the LED up, okay, carefully as I can without scratching any of the paint behind it. All right, to get them straight like so, or close enough, right? Now what I want to do is push through this light so we can pop off this plastic housing, and don't without losing it, of course. Let's go back to my trusty and I did it. There it is. But I honestly almost lost it on my carpet. That would not have been good. But here's your LED. The LED is out, okay? So I'm going to take this lens very carefully without scratching it and putting it aside. That way you can, I know that these lenses snap in. They're not as always easy to snap back in. I think when I did it last time I had to add just a couple dabs of glue on either side and push it in, but it stays in pretty good. All right, so these two holes in the back here, right, the back of this, and these two holes down here is where we're going to reroute our new LED down through the cab. And those two wires will connect to these two wires. All right, I got an LED. I'm going to test this guy with my trusty 3-volt battery pack. He's good. So we're going to feed it through here. Okay. Let's put the red one through here. All right. So it looks like that. You see that? All right. So that we can get it in there just like that. That should be pretty good. Now before I do, I'm going to go to my trusty Boo Putty. This stuff here, okay? I use it all the time. If you follow me on YouTube, you'll know that. This stuff is great for adhering things. Let's do this. All right, let's get this behind it. Okay. All right, let's see. We gotta take a little bit more off the top. Okay, so see, this is what it's looking like right now, okay? Now, as we pull through, you need to just maneuver it just enough to get it in there in the right spot, which we want it to go. See how that's working so far? Sorry, I'm out of camera here. Just like that. All right, and I'll continue to push down, pull a little bit. We don't want to pull it too much. This is where I need to get my toothpick again and just kind of push it in. A little bit here. It's very easy to, and the other thing you want to do is clear that slot. But your toothpick, it will help you to move any of the clay around and out of the way, and it'll also help you close off the back side so no light creeps out of the holes in the back where the wires are coming through. Okay, so I'm also taking a look, making sure I clear an area for the lens to fit back in, all right, which I think we're good on this side. We got a little bit more down here. We can scrape in, but that's good because we needed to fill a little more into the bottom there. So now you can kind of see our light has a snug fit. Now that you have it right where you want it, let's press it in tight. Okay, and the gray will be nice. You know, when we put that lens back on, you really won't be able to tell that it's a putty. You know, you won't really be looking at it like it's something of that nature. we've got those wires in place, and now we'll just feed them back down through here. There, there's the black ones going in, like so. You can see there it is. Get the red one in. You know, and when we're all done, we can paint both of these wires black. Just from that short little distance from the back of the lens housing to the top of the cap. So yeah, here's something I noticed too. You gotta be careful. It'll want to bend in its own little direction, and just kind of gotta twist and manipulate it to go the right way, just like that. So we'll pull those just a little more taut, one at a time. Okay. Like so. You could even, if you wanted to, just kind of push them in a little more like that. Okay, just like that. And we have a new light bulb in. Now, let's test our bulb again before completing the rest of the connections. There you go. Now, it's going to be much more powerful. We're going to get much more power out of that light once we connect it to the decoder. And we'll put this resistor in line with it too. And we'll get some really nice light coming through there. All right, so the light still works. Let's disconnect that. Let's see, I'm going to try it without glue, because it's very possible that the putty might just hold it in place too when I snap it in. Now that just snapped back in, so I'm going to do a little test here. That's good, that is in there, and we are good. It's kind of a flexible piece of plastic that you can push in with your finger all the way around. And the nice thing is it's hitting some of that putty, so it's going to keep that right in place. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim more off of these two wires. Let's put this aside. Okay, I'm going to trim to about here. And I think one of the reasons I want to do that is because I'm going to keep the blue, I'm going to keep these two a little longer. They're a little more flexible and easy to just squeeze in and pack in when we put our shell back on. Let's get some flux on these. Okay. Yeah, it should be good. Let's cut them both right about here. Leave a little bit extra. Okay, so the blue and white wires have been tinned and they are ready to go. Next, we are going to, on the white wire, we're going to attach this resistor. All right, so we're going to trim off much as I can. And we'll put a little flux on both sides of this. Like that. Okay. All right, now what we're going to do, let's get some shrink tubing for this. Let me grab a little bit of that. Okay, so we're going to take this smaller black shrink tubing, slide it down the blue one, and then this yellow one here, we're going to slide that down. Okay, now we are ready to make connections. Get a little more solder on here and connect these two straight as possible. just like that. There. Good. Those are two good, strong connections. Let's just slide these up for the time being. See if they stay and cover up our sections of our connections here. We're going to do this. Yeah, this one's probably not going to stay that great. But what we're going to do now is carefully just lay this on top, like so, without anything touching the, yeah, that's a little bit of metal there. Let me slide that over. All right, we'll keep it just like that. And we'll test everything again here briefly. And I'll be back. Okay, so we're back from testing it. Everything's working great. Light's working. Everything's running. We've got sound, but it's just a generic sound. So the next thing I want to do then is let's put this back here. And let's shrink. Let's get our shrink tubing all done. And I'm going to pack this in. And we're going to close it back up. Let's pack this stuff in. Okay, get our wires up in there. I usually tape a lot more of it in place, but because I know there's space up there, as long as we don't get any wires creeping out through the bottom and crimping, we should be good. All right, so press that down and snap it back in like so. Okay, that's not firmly in place yet. All right, and when you're doing that, be careful of your little rods here. Okay, these guys. Let's carefully put those back into place before we really screw those coupler housings back in. Oh, this one, oh, it was close. All right, so we're good. All right, I got one more little snap there. Okay. All right. Looking good, guys, looking good. So now we are ready to get our coupler housings back in. Let me clean up my workspace here and we'll do that. All right, so we're putting these coupler housings back in. They go in pretty much like this. Couplers towards the top here. All right, I've got the screw in place. Let's tighten that. Let's put this screw in here. All right. Good flex on that one. The next thing you can do is paint the red wire black. That's a quick enough, easy little thing to do. Otherwise, we're good to go. So before I show you this guy in full running practice on the rails, what I want to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to put I'm going to load a sound onto this guy. It should take about a half hour to 45 minutes. And I'll set up the lighting and everything I want to have working the right way and the motor. And we'll come back and show you this guy on the track. All right. Okay, I'm back. So I did a quick paint job on these wires here. I painted the red one black. And I also painted the black one black to match the tone of black that we had in there. And I used this. I used Tamiya Flat Black XF-1. All right. Now let's go to the track. And we'll show you. I loaded a sound on this, and we are ready to hear what this guy sounds like. All right, so we are on the track, and I want to show you how this guy's running. Right, let's get that motor revved up. And let's take a look at our new LED front headlight. Much nicer. I just like the warm, bright light. All right, we've got bell. A little toot horn. All right, let's get them moving. Now I've got it so the light stays on forward and back, since we have no rear light. Well, and that's it, you guys. I want to thank you all again for joining me here at Wally's Model Railroading. This was a project on an ON30 Bachmann Gas Mechanical locomotive. We swapped out the LED for a warm, bright white LED and added sound and did a hardwired decoder install. Once again, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.